I thought I knew my wife. 6 years of marriage, countless memories, late-night conversations over coffee in our tiny Portland kitchen. Lauren was my best friend, my partner, the person I trusted most in this world. We met at a coffee shop on a rainy Tuesday, both reaching for the last blueberry muffin. She laughed. I insisted she take it, and somehow that moment turned into forever. Or so I believed. Then one evening she came home from work with a smile I had not seen in months and said something that made my stomach drop. Trevor this, Trevor that. My wife had a work husband. Before I dive into what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop your location in the comments below. And if you have ever felt that gut instinct telling you something was not right, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story is about trusting that instinct when everyone else told me I was overreacting. I am a software engineer at a startup in Seattle. The work is demanding the hours long, but I love what I do. Lauren works as a marketing manager for a large e-commerce company downtown. For the first 5 years of our marriage, we had our routine. I would get home around 6:30, she would arrive by 7, and we would cook dinner together. Those evenings were sacred. We would talk about our days, laugh about office politics, plan our next camping trip to the Cascades. Life felt stable, predictable, good. Then Trevor entered the picture. At first it was innocent enough. Lauren mentioned a new colleague who had joined her team. Smart guy, she said. Really creative with campaign strategies. I nodded, asked polite questions, thought nothing of it. But over the following weeks, Trevor became a recurring character in our dinner conversations. Trevor said this funny thing in the meeting. Trevor thinks we should pivot our social media approach. Trevor recommended this amazing Thai place near the office. Every single night, his name came up at least 3 or 4 times. I started counting. I tried to brush it off. People make friends at work. That is normal, healthy even. I had colleagues I was close with. But something about the way Lauren talked about Trevor felt different. Her eyes lit up when she mentioned him. She laughed at his jokes before even finishing the story. There was an energy there that made me uncomfortable, though I could not quite explain why. One evening in late September, we were sitting on our couch watching some crime documentary when Lauren turned to me with a casual smile and said, "Trevor is kind of my work husband." I paused the show. I asked her what she meant by that. She laughed like I was being silly. You know, she explained, just a really close colleague. Someone who has your back at the office, grabs you coffee, helps you through stressful days. Everyone has work spouses these days, Nicholas. It is completely harmless. Harmless. That word echoed in my head as I smiled and nodded and pretended to understand. I did not want to be that husband, the jealous one, the controlling one, the one who could not handle his wife having male friends. So I swallowed my discomfort and told myself I was overthinking things. Lauren loved me. We had built a life together. I had to trust her. But trust became harder as the weeks went on. Lauren started working later. She had always been dedicated to her career, but suddenly she was staying at the office until 8, 9, sometimes 10 at night. When I called to check in, she sounded distracted. Just finishing up a project with the team, she would say. I will be home soon. When she finally walked through the door, she seemed exhausted, but also somehow energized. She would pour herself a glass of wine, scroll through her phone with a slight smile, and head to bed. The phone became its own issue. It was always in her hand now, always buzzing with notifications. I would hear it vibrate on the nightstand at 11 at night, midnight, even 1 in the morning. When I asked who was texting so late, Lauren would glance at the screen and say, "Oh, just work stuff with Trevor. We are brainstorming ideas for the new campaign." She never let me see the messages. She would angle the phone away, type quickly, then set it face down. There were the phone calls, too. Lauren started stepping out onto our apartment balcony to take calls even in the cold October rain. Through the glass door, I could see her laughing, pacing back and forth, completely absorbed in whatever conversation she was having. When she came back inside, I would ask if everything was okay. She would wave me off. Yeah, totally fine. Just Trevor being hilarious. Work drama, you know how it is. I did not know how it was. My work friendships never looked like this. I never texted colleagues at midnight. I never stepped outside to laugh privately on the phone with them. But every time I considered saying something, I talked myself out of it. I did not want to seem insecure. I did not want to accuse Lauren of something without proof. So I stayed quiet and watched my wife drift further away. One Saturday night I broke down and called my best friend Marcus. I told him everything. The constant mentions of Trevor, the late nights, the secretive phone behavior. Marcus listened in silence, then finally said, "Dude, are you serious? A work husband? That is what she is calling it." I asked him if I was overreacting. He sighed. "Look, man, maybe it is innocent. But if it is making you this uncomfortable, you need to talk to her." I promised him I would. I hung up the phone and sat in our quiet apartment trying to figure out how to start that conversation. Maybe I was just being paranoid. The turning point came on a Friday night in November. Lauren had a team dinner planned. She had mentioned it earlier in the week, said it was a quarterly celebration thing her department did. I told her to have fun. She left around 6:30 wearing a black dress I had always loved on her, her hair curled in that effortless way that took her 45 minutes to achieve. She kissed me on the cheek, said she would be home by 10 and walked out the door. 10 o'clock came and went. 10:30. 11. I texted her. No response. I called. Straight to voicemail. By midnight I was pacing our living room, genuinely worried. Had something happened? Was she okay? I called again. Nothing. At 1:15 in the morning I finally heard keys in the door. Lauren stumbled in, clearly drunk mascara smudged, laughing to herself. I asked where she had been. She waved her hand dismissively. "We just had so much fun, Nicholas. I completely lost track of time. I am so sorry." I asked who was at this dinner. She listed a few names from her team, then added, "And Trevor drove me home. He was so sweet about it." I walked to the window and looked out onto the street. There, idling at the curb, was a black sedan. Behind the wheel sat a tall man with dark hair visible under the streetlight. He saw me looking and gave a casual wave. I did not wave back. I watched as he drove away, then turned to Lauren. She was already kicking off her heels, heading toward the bedroom. I stood there feeling something shift inside me. This was not okay. None of this was okay. Over the next few weeks, the distance between us grew wider. Lauren became a stranger sharing my bed. We stopped having meaningful conversations. When I tried to initiate any kind of intimacy, she had an excuse ready. "I am tired, honey. I have an early meeting tomorrow." "Not tonight, okay?" She would roll over, scroll on her phone for another 20 minutes, then fall asleep. I would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling lonely in my own marriage. The affection disappeared, too. No more random hugs in the kitchen. No more kisses goodbye in the morning. She stopped asking about my day. When I talked about a problem at work, she would nod absently, clearly not listening. But when her phone buzzed with a message, she came alive. I watched her fingers fly across the screen, watched that smile appear the one she used to save for me. I realized I had two choices. I could keep suffering in silence, hoping things would magically improve, or I could do something about it. I started paying attention to my own workplace. There was a woman on my team named Amanda. We had worked together for about 8 months. She was sharp, funny, always willing to help debug a difficult problem. We grabbed coffee, sometimes talked about coding challenges, shared frustrations about project deadlines. It was a professional friendship, nothing more. But I started wondering, if Lauren could have a work husband, could I have a work wife? I began mentioning Amanda in conversations at home, casually dropping her name the way Lauren did with Trevor. Amanda helped me solve that server issue today. Amanda suggested a great approach for the database optimization. I watched Lauren for any reaction. She barely looked up from her phone. "That is nice," she would mumble. "Glad you have good teammates." She did not care. She did not even notice. That hurt more than I expected. It confirmed what I had been afraid of. Lauren was so wrapped up in whatever was happening with Trevor that I had become background noise in her own life. So I decided to take things further. Not to have an affair. I had no interest in that. But I needed to show Lauren what she was doing to our marriage. I needed her to feel what I was feeling. I started researching apartments, nice places downtown close to my office, close to where Amanda worked. 1 and 2 bedroom units in modern buildings with gym facilities and rooftop terraces. I scheduled tours, looked at floor plans, asked about lease terms. And then I found the perfect one. A beautiful corner unit on the 15th floor to ceiling windows overlooking the city, brand new appliances, exactly the kind of place Lauren and I used to dream about affording someday. I met with the leasing agent and told her I wanted to put down a deposit. She asked who would be on the lease. I gave her my name. Then I gave her Lauren's name, too. The agent looked confused. "Is your wife not here to sign?" I explained that this was a surprise, that I would handle the paperwork. She hesitated but eventually agreed as long as I had the authority to sign on Lauren's behalf. I assured her I did. Technically, we had power of attorney documents from when we bought our car. I was not sure if this was legal, but I did not care anymore. I signed the papers, paid the deposit, and walked out with a copy of the lease agreement. Both our names printed clearly at the top. I did not hide the document. That was the whole point. I left it on my desk in our home office, right on top of a stack of mail corner, peeking out just enough to catch attention. Then I waited. I went about my normal routine. I continued building my professional relationship with Amanda, making sure everything stayed completely above board. We worked late on a big project launch, grabbed lunch a few times, exchanged plenty of work-related emails. All of it visible, documented, appropriate. I was not doing anything wrong, but I was creating the appearance of something more. It took 3 days. Saturday morning I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard Lauren gasp from the office. I walked in slowly, already knowing what she had found. She was standing at my desk, holding the lease agreement, her face completely pale. She looked up at me with wide eyes. "What is this? Why is my name on this lease?" Her voice shook. I poured myself coffee, kept my expression neutral. "Oh, that is for my work wife and me." Lauren stared at me like I had just spoken a foreign language. Your what? I took a sip of coffee. My work wife, Amanda. You said work spouses are completely harmless, right? So I figured I should get one too. And since we are apparently so close, I thought we should get a place together. You know, for late work sessions, brainstorming meetings, that kind of thing. Lauren's hands started trembling. The paper shook in her grip. Are you serious right now? You rented an apartment with another woman? I shrugged. I thought you said it was normal. You have Trevor, I have Amanda. Seems fair. She slammed the document down on the desk. That is completely different. Nicholas, Trevor, and I are just friends. Nothing is happening between us. I looked at her calmly. And nothing is happening between Amanda and me. We are just colleagues. So what exactly is the difference? Lauren opened her mouth, then closed it. She had no answer. I continued. I put your name on that lease because I wanted you to understand what this feels like. To know that your partner has this whole separate emotional life with someone else. To wonder what they are really doing when they say they are working late. To feel like you are being replaced. Lauren sank into the desk chair. Tears started rolling down her face. I did not move to comfort her. I just stood there holding my coffee, waiting. Finally, she looked up at me. I did not realize she whispered. I did not know it was hurting you this much. I asked why she never wondered. Why she never noticed me pulling away, mentioning Amanda creating distance. She wiped her eyes. I guess I was too caught up in my own thing. That was the first honest thing she had said in months. I sat down across from her. Tell me the truth, Lauren. What is really going on with Trevor? She took a shaky breath. We did not sleep together. I need you to know that. But we got too close. Emotionally. He made me feel special, appreciated like I mattered. I felt that anger rise in my chest. And I do not make you feel that way. She shook her head quickly. You do. You did. But somewhere along the way we stopped really seeing each other. You were always working, I was always working. We became roommates instead of partners. And Trevor filled that gap. I understood what she meant, even though it hurt to hear. I'd been taking her for granted, coming home exhausted, zoning out in front of the television, assuming she would always be there. We had stopped dating each other, stopped making effort. But that did not excuse what she had done. I told her that. She nodded, still crying. I know I messed up. I let someone get too close. I crossed boundaries I should not have crossed. I'm so sorry, Nicholas. I asked if she wanted to save our marriage. She looked at me with desperate eyes. Yes, more than anything. I do not want to lose you. I told her what that would require. She had to cut off Trevor completely. Not just reduce contact, completely. No more late-night texts, no more private calls, no more work-husband jokes. If they had to interact professionally, it stayed strictly professional. She agreed immediately. I will talk to HR about transferring teams. I do not need to work directly with him. Then I told her the truth about the apartment. I never actually planned to use it with Amanda. Amanda is a colleague, a friend, nothing more. I signed that lease to teach you a lesson, to make you feel what I have been feeling for months. Lauren looked at me with a mixture of relief and pain. So you are not leaving me? I said I did not know yet. That depended on whether we could actually fix what was broken. I told her we needed marriage counseling, real consistent therapy. She agreed. Whatever it takes. I called the leasing office that afternoon and cancelled the agreement. I lost my deposit, but it was worth it. I had made my point. I had shown Lauren her reflection, forced her to confront what she was doing to us. Whether our marriage would survive was still an open question. But at least now we were both fighting for it instead of just me watching it crumble. That was 3 months ago. Lauren and I have been going to therapy every single week since then. Some sessions are brutal. We sit in that small office with the overly comfortable couch and the box of tissues, and we cry. We yell sometimes. We unpack years of resentment, miscommunication, taking each other for granted. Our therapist, a patient woman named Dr. Hayes, guides us through it all. She makes us practice active listening. She teaches us how to express needs without attacking. She helps us understand that we both contributed to the breakdown. Lauren followed through on everything she promised. She requested a department transfer and got it. She blocked Trevor's personal number. She showed me her phone whenever I asked, no hesitation. I watched her rebuild my trust, one transparent action at a time. It was not easy for her. She admitted she missed the attention Trevor gave her, missed feeling desired and interesting. But she chose our marriage over that temporary validation. I had to do my part, too. I started coming home earlier when possible. I planned actual dates, not just dinner on the couch. We went to this little Italian restaurant we used to love before life got busy. We drove out to the coast. One weekend walked on the beach, talked for hours like we did when we first met. I put my phone away during our time together. I asked her real questions and actually listened to the answers. I stopped assuming she knew I loved her and started showing it. Our relationship now is different from what it was before. We are not the carefree newlyweds who met over a muffin anymore. We are two people who almost lost everything and are learning how to build something stronger from the wreckage. There is still pain. I still have moments where I remember her laughing on the phone with Trevor, and it stings. She still feels guilty about letting things go so far. But we are honest now. We talk about the hard stuff instead of letting it fester. I learned that boundaries matter. The whole work spouse concept might be harmless for some people, but it was not for us. When you start giving emotional intimacy to someone outside your marriage, when you start sharing your inner world with them, instead of your actual spouse, you are crossing a line. It does not matter if it is physical or not. Emotional affairs are real, and they damage relationships just as much as physical ones. I also learned that communication is everything. If I had told Lauren months earlier how uncomfortable Trevor made me if I had been honest about feeling neglected, instead of bottling it up, maybe we could have avoided this whole mess. But I stayed silent, thinking I was being the cool, understanding husband, and that silence nearly destroyed us. And I learned that sometimes you have to take drastic action. That apartment lease was manipulative, sure. But it worked. It jolted Lauren out of her denial and made her see what she was doing. I do not regret it. Sometimes people need to see their own behavior reflected back at them before they can truly understand the impact. I do not know if our marriage will last forever. We are taking it one day at a time. Some days are great. We laugh together, hold hands on the couch, feel like ourselves again. Other days are hard. We stumble over old wounds, struggle to trust completely, wonder if we are fooling ourselves. But we are both here, both trying, both committed to doing the work, to doing. That is more than we had 3 months ago. That apartment lease taught both of us something valuable. It showed Lauren how it feels to be on the other side of emotional betrayal. It showed me that I could not just passively accept a situation that was destroying me. Sometimes you have to show people their own reflection before they understand how their actions affect you. You have to be willing to make uncomfortable moves, have difficult conversations, risk everything to save what matters. I do not know if our marriage will last forever, but I know we are both fighting for it now. And that is what matters. Trust is not something you demand from someone. It is something you build together brick by brick, day by day, through consistent actions and honest communication. We are building it again, slowly, carefully, with full awareness of how fragile it is. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where someone tells you their work spouse is harmless, trust your gut. Because boundaries exist for a reason. They protect what is sacred. They keep the outside world from seeping into the intimate space you have built with your partner. When those boundaries start to blur, when someone else starts occupying emotional real estate that belongs to your spouse, you have a problem. Address it. Talk about it. Do not wait until it is almost too late like I did. Have you ever dealt with jealousy in a relationship or had a partner who got too close to a coworker? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear your perspective on where the line is between friendship and emotional cheating. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And subscribe, because I will be sharing more about what I have learned through this whole process. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there who is feeling what I felt. Trust yourself. Set your boundaries. And fight for what matters. Take care.